The following is a Tony Lasano podcast, an Opie show on the Radio Misfits Podcast Network. This is Free Kicks. So, Adam, I've been spending a little more time out at soccer fields with the kids now that I'm the president of the club and everything.
Of course.
And so, I haven't been around little kids in a while, and I forgot how much fun it is to be around the little ones. And this one young boy came up to me this past week and said the following joke. You ready?
Yep.
Why don't players wear glasses?
No idea.
It's a contact sport. Get it?
Oh,
it's a contact
there you
sport.
go. Wow, that's a good dad joke.
And now, Free Kicks. Free Kicks with Illinois Youth Soccer Association's Director of Coaching, Adam Howarth, and Rick Kemper.
I must admit, I didn't get it at first because, you're not expecting like a double joke like that from a youngster. But then he pointed to his eyes like, oh, contacts. Gotcha.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
All right. So anyway, listen, we are a curse. I don't know if people know this about you and I.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
We picked 3 clubs last week that we thought were doing quite well, just to highlight them, because we are always told that we spend too much time talking about our favorite clubs, which is Chelsea and Liverpool. So we talked about Nottingham Forest. We talked about Bournemouth. We talked about Tottenham.
Yep.
All 3 of them lost.
There you go. Brilliant.
Forest lost to Newcastle, Bournemouth lost to Brentford, and then Tottenham lost to Ipswich Town. And that was their first win in the Premier League in like 20 years or something like that. So we're pretty talented.
Yes, we are. We picked some doozies, and they lived up to their names. That's for sure. But I mean, again, you knew the Tottenham thing was going to happen. But
you knew.
But the other 2, my goodness, that was a bit of a shocker.
Well, so this week, let's see how powerful we are. I've chosen 3 more teams that we can talk about, and let's see if we can give them a curse, because all of them are in the top 8 right now. So you'd have to say they've been playing well so far.
That's right.
All right, let's start with Newcastle.
Yeah.
Because, they beat one of the teams we talked about last week. But, they beaten Forest, they've beaten Arsenal, they've beaten Chelsea in the EFL Cup. Not too shabby. And just a couple of years ago, they did finish in the top 4.
That's right.
And they have more money than God.
Mm-hmm.
They currently sit in 8th place. Are they making a play for Europe, or is this an illusion?
No, I think they're definitely up there. I mean, we look at the table. It's so jam-packed there. I mean, between 9th place and 3rd place, it's 1 point. So that gives you an idea of how everybody is. But yes, I've been impressed with Newcastle in terms of what they've done. Obviously, since they lost to Chelsea, they've been on a bit of a run since then,
right? And
they've turned things around a little bit. And probably the players that have probably made the biggest impact for them is Joel Linton. Okay, he's also scoring some goals, which he had not done previously, and Alexander Isak, who's scoring a bunch of goals for them, and he's definitely causing lots of problems. He's one of those players that every team has to watch out for. So scoring goals, causing problems for teams, so doing very well. So
he got off to a slow start this year, but is pretty much on fire right now. And they're playing without Wilson, right?
Yes, Callum Wilson. Yeah, I'm not sure. He's been a long-term injury for them. Has kind of minimally, I think I saw something statistically. He's only played in half of the games he's ever been eligible for, just because he's had so many injuries. Yeah. He's been that type of a player. I wouldn't be surprised if he moves on in January and they bring somebody else in. And as you mentioned, they do have a good chunk of money. It's just the financial fair play is a challenge for them because they're just probably not. They're certainly well known in Newcastle, but worldwide they don't have necessarily a massive appeal like the Chelseas and the Manchester Uniteds and those other teams.
Right. So they have to overpay a little bit to get some of these guys.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so none of these teams are going to lose this weekend. We know that.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, exactly.
So, maybe the next game
league table stays the same. The league table will stay the same. Yes.
That is a bold prediction, sir.
I know.
All right, so that's one team. Let's talk about another one that I've actually really started to enjoy watching, and that's Fulham.
Mm-hmm.
And the last 2 weeks they've won. They beat Brentford. They beat Crystal Palace. Maybe not the top teams in the league, but still solid wins. You've got Emil Smith-Rowe tearing it up.
Yeah. Yes.
You got our guy, Anthony Robinson, quietly becoming one of the best fullbacks in the league. Harry Wilson. Have you been watching this? Coming off the bench, making an impact. And then a couple of other things I wanted to point out about this team. They've got the best mascot in the league. They've got Billy the Badger.
Okay, all right.
Have you seen Billy the Badger?
I don't think I've ever seen Billy the Badger.
Oh, you got to look him up. He's one of their better mascots. And also, it's where Clint Dempsey made his mark. I believe he still has the record for most goals scored in this franchise. So that's a team that an American can root for.
I totally agree. It's certainly years past. There's always been quite a few American players. Obviously, Anthony Robinson there with his strong English accent is a stalwart in the back for them. He's an American international. Certainly, probably one of the first players that Pochettino is going to put down on his sheet.
Yep.
He has been tremendous, very consistent, and I don't know if you notice, probably some of the key things with these backs, these players that are pretty quick always seem to have good careers. He's fast. There's no question about it. And he's pretty good on the ball. But going back to the Harry Wilson thing, yeah, exactly. Coming off the bench, back in the day, they used to call them super subs.
Right.
He is definitely a super sub. He comes
Wasn't Ole one of those?
Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was one there, absolutely. I can even go back many, many years. Even when I was young, there was a player called David Fairclough who played for Liverpool. He was a super sub. He would always come in and score goals for Liverpool. And Harry Wilson's starting to get that reputation. And it's good and bad, right? So, it's one of those things where, you score goals and make an impact, but now all of a sudden you're a super sub. So I'm like, I'm just going to keep you on the bench for a while. We'll bring you on when we need to.
Exactly.
Same thing with, like John Duran, for example. But,
right.
Yeah, making an impact. Team seems to be clicking. Happy for Emil Smith-Rowe. He's finding his feet. It's a great goal that he scored. And, Fulham's doing all right.
Yeah, I think Arsenal's going to they're going to regret letting him go.
Well, certainly because of that whole Odegaard injury. Now, fortunately for them, Odegaard came back this week, and I was surprised, absolutely, to be fair, shocked at how well he played.
And he played, I think he played the whole game, or at least
the whole
most
game.
of it, yeah.
Exactly, played the whole game in a 1-1 draw. But, yeah, he was really impressive. But if they would have had Emil Smith-Rowe, maybe their form wouldn't have been quite as bad because he could have just slotted in there. But credit to him. He's found a home. He's playing well.
Yes, that's right. All right, and then the third team I want to bring up is Brighton. Brighton and Hove Albion. Incredible come-from-behind win over Man City. That was quite a game. The first team to ever beat Man City in a game that Haaland scored.
Yeah.
And they sit in sixth place. The last couple of years, they flirted with Europe. Is this the year they actually get a slot?
It's a great question. Certainly that was a huge result for them. I mean, we were all shocked to see the result. And when I look at how the statistics kind of held up, it wasn't, possession-wise, Man City had it, 60-40 basically.
Right.
But when you look at everything else, it was all pretty close. It certainly wasn't one-sided. So they were definitely worthy of winning the game. When you look at shots on target, 6-4 in Man City's favor. So very close. They had lots of chances, and they got some players that are really causing some problems. I absolutely love Matoma, who plays out wide for them. And Danny Welbeck has been just kind of...
What happened to him?
Just a journeyman, if you ever think of it. He's now the captain of the team, scoring goals. I think he probably could have even scored that first one if it wasn't for João Pedro kind of jumping in there to get it. But it was fantastic. I mean, really a fantastic set up in terms of the goal, and he's been playing great, really has.
And especially when you think about the fact that this club has, sold off their biggest stars over the last few years and has not had any downslide at all.
Right, exactly. When you think about, again, going back to Chelsea, they've bought two of their better players recently in Caicedo and Cucurella for 150 million.
Yeah.
And they've sold other players as well for good chunks of money. So they've got a lot of money in the bank.
Yeah, McAllister from Liverpool was a Brighton player.
That's right. They've sold some of their top players, but they found Sanchez as well for Chelsea, the Brighton goalkeeper. But, they've sold their players, but they keep replacing them. So their recruiting base has been really, really solid. They find the right players. The managers have turned it over a few times as well, but they keep finding the right guy. So there's lots of credit to Brighton and their recruiting for sure.
So did you see Pep's interview after the game?
Bits and pieces of it.
I got to say, he looks very relaxed. I mean, they just lost their fourth game in a row in all competitions. Yeah. And he just looked like, whatever. This winning all the time stuff, it's a lot of work.
Yes, yeah. Didn't he say something like maybe another team deserves to win?
Exactly. People are bored with us. We're winning all the time. It's time for somebody else. Like, it did not look like the same guy. So that was just interesting.
Yeah. I mean, they've lost 4 in a row, right? But 2 of them only in the league. The others are in other competitions.
Right.
But yeah, you're right. I mean, maybe he's coming to the conclusion of, it is what it is.
Yeah.
I think I've done everything I can.
Right, exactly. What else do you want from me, people?
Exactly. I don't think he's coming. I don't think he's coming back next year. It's kind of what I'm sensing.
That's the feeling I'm getting too. So we should probably talk about the team that is at the top of the table. I don't know if you've noticed this. It's a certain team that wears red. It starts with an L. It ends with a poodle.
Yes. My goodness.
They're 5 points up right now, which I think, just to be fair, they also were a couple of years ago and blew it. So, as a Liverpool fan, I'm not feeling that great about it, but it's certainly nice to see Liverpool playing. And they are very consistent this year. No question.
Playing very well, finding ways to win games on a consistent basis. I mean, Mo Salah, you just think he's going to slow down, but he just doesn't. Was a massive part of the victory this past weekend. And they just seemed ways to find. They figure out how to beat good teams, and against an Aston Villa team that was a good side, and they took it to them. They really did, and I'm excited to see if they can continue this, because they're not only top of the table in the Premier League, but they are top of the 55-team table of the Champions League. So they're probably the best team in Europe. You could argue the world right now in terms of form. So they're doing something right. There's no question. And Mo Salah and even Darwin Núñez is finding a way to score a goal. So things must be done.
He also found a way to miss several. But
that's a given. It's a given. But he scored one. And I tell you, the other underrated player that I think has been really a massive contributor is their goalkeeper in Keller.
Yes.
When he's come in, he's been fantastic. He has I think he's been as good as anybody before him. He's been fantastic. He's really, really been good. I think.
Is he Irish? He's Irish, right?
He's Irish. Yes, he's Irish. He's been making good decisions. And I would be shocked. I mean, they're going to have to make a decision next year in terms of what they want to do from a goalkeeping standpoint, because he's going to have some serious offers to go and play at another Premier League club and be the starter if Liverpool doesn't make a decision. So it's a tough one for them because they've got two really good goalies.
I'm betting that he's a little cheaper than Allison.
Yep, that's true. That's true.
That may factor into the decision-making process there, but you never know. They do have a lot of money. And I think Jurgen Klopp is sitting there at home going, probably saying, hey, I gave him all those players. That's my team right there.
True.
All right, so I like to do the weird stat of the week.
Mm-hmm.
And because this show is called Free Kicks, I wanted to see who has scored the most free kicks in Premier League history. And I can't believe I hadn't looked this up before. I think you might be able to figure out who it is, but I'll tell you who's tied for third place with 12. This is all time in the Premier League history, not all time in English football.
Yeah, just Premier League. Yeah,
right. Cristiano Ronaldo had 12. Thierry Henry had 12, and Gianfranco Zola had 12.
Interesting.
Now, who are the top two of all time? The top two free kick shooters in Premier League history. Can you tell me who they are?
Well, I think I know number one, so I'll save that.
Yeah.
I'm going to go on another one that maybe, and he scored a bunch. Would it be Mr. James Ward-Prowse?
Wow, very good. That's correct. My favorite guy, James Ward-Prowse, is in second place with 17. Yeah. And then who's first? You know who's first?
Has to be Mr. David Beckham.
It is. But he's only one ahead of James Ward-Prowse.
Wow, there you go.
He's got 18.
Could get caught.
He could. All right, Free Kicks is brought to you by the Illinois Youth Soccer Association.
Illinois Youth Soccer has been proudly serving the Illinois soccer community since 1975 and has a strong history of credibility. Illinois Youth Soccer is a non-profit corporation, official state association, and charter member of the U.S. Soccer Federation, administers U.S. Soccer Federation coaching programs, the U.S. Soccer Federation Olympic Development Program, and U.S. Soccer Federation referee programs. For more information, go to illinoisyouthsoccer.org. And we'll be starting our ODP this weekend. So over 1,100 kids ready to come in. We're looking forward to it.
What age group are you doing this year?
I have got the little guys and girls. I've got the 2015s and 2016s. So they're basically 8 and 9 years old. And then I'm also working with a 2014 group as well. So excited to be doing that. And then I'm also working at some of the regional levels with the 2011s. So I'll be heading down to Florida with them in January, so end of January. So looking forward to that.
Well, you should ask them why soccer players don't wear glasses.
Yes, I will.
Because
that's a good one. They'll like that one.
They'll appreciate that. All right, it's time for another feature.
Time now to guess the Premier League star.
Okay, I should warn you, my son Sean helped me come up with this one.
Okay, so very dodgy if it's a star. Okay,
I think that's fair to say.
Yeah.
Yes. I don't know. I think you'll think he is a star. He is 23 years old, and he's 23. A forward. Yeah.
He's not a star if he's 23. Come on.
Well, that's true. He's a budding star. How about that? Guess the Premier League budding star.
There you go.
He scored 4 goals this year already in league play.
Okay.
So, he's not a slouch.
Mm-hmm.
He grew up in England, but he plays for another national team in the UK. So that narrows it down. Last season, go ahead.
When you say the UK,
yeah,
it could be Scotland, Wales, or Northern Ireland.
Correct. It's one of those three.
Gotcha. Okay.
But I appreciate that you assume I didn't know what I was talking about, because.
No, I'm just double checking.
Okay.
I'm fact checking. I like to do my fact checks. Make sure I know what I'm dealing with here.
Last season, he led his club in assists with 10. So he had a good season last year. All right, here's a clue. He doesn't have to wear sunglasses by the team's trophy case because it's not exactly brimming with gold.
Right. Well, there's only one team that we can talk about, and there's lots of jokes about that, so I get that completely. And interesting one. But he's 23. I'm trying to think about it. He's playing for a different country.
Before he came to this team, he played for his boyhood team, which was Nottingham Forest.
Gotcha. That's who I was thinking. Okay. Yeah, playing very well. Plays out wide on the wing.
He does.
And probably Wales is one of Wales's better players, that's for sure.
Yep.
He actually, I think he did play for some of the younger England teams before he chose to go with Wales. But
yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah, but I would say is Mr. Brennan Price Johnson.
Yeah,
is the person we're talking about.
That's right. Good old number 22. I tried to find why it is that he plays for Wales, and I couldn't. What are the rules on that? How could it go back to your grandfather, or what? Do you know what the rules are?
Yeah, I think it can go back into grandfathers of some type. I mean, as long as you have some type of bloodline, I believe is kind of how it's looked at. But the only thing is, it has to be. You can still play for even youth teams up until obviously, and that's what he did. 15, 16 with England, and then he moved over to Wales. But ultimately, I believe it's some type of a bloodline, so a grandparent of some type. I think as far as it goes, you can't have like a distant uncle,
right?
That's not going to work. So it's going to be father, mother, grandparents.
Okay, but once you make that call, you can't switch, right?
When you played for your national team, yes. Now there might be the odd occurrence where they look at it independently. Maybe there's a one and done. Oh, I've made a huge mistake. I want to go play here instead. They're probably, I'm sure, they look at each of them individually. But typically, when you play for your country of choice, there's no going back.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Well, it's time for maybe the most challenging version of this since we started doing the show. It's time for Adam's TV tip.
Now time for Adam's Weekend Soccer TV tip.
And I say that because, of course, it's international break, our least favorite weekend of the year.
Well, if you want a good laugh, go watch the Chicago Bears. That should be a good game to watch. Because
that's not a contact sport.
That's not a contact. And maybe take a little break from watching soccer and just try and watch probably maybe one of the worst teams you've ever seen. My goodness gracious.
You're killing me.
Chicago is in mourning for sure in terms of what's happening there. But so it's a tough one, and I think I'm going to go with a 2-game series. Now, there's a lot of good international games, but as you can see, a lot of players are already pulling out. I don't know if you saw in the England squad, 8 players pulled out of the squad.
Really?
For the games this week because of injuries. Cole Palmer being one, Jack Grealish, a whole bunch of them.
Jack Grealish, come on, man! How else are you going to get some playing time?
Exactly. Yeah, he's not playing at all. He's injured for Man City, but he still gets selected. It's crazy. But so realistically, the best games to watch. It's going to be a 2-game series, Thursday and Monday. CONCACAF Nations League. I think this is a quarterfinal game. We've got to watch our USA team playing Jamaica. Should be a good game because Jamaica's got some international players that are obviously playing in the Premier League, Michael Antonio is probably one of the bigger ones, stars who you want to watch. Again, depending on who's playing, it's so difficult to see who's playing these days because of their club commitments and injuries.
I think Bailey from Aston Villa is on that team.
Yes, absolutely. That would be on Bailey. You've got a whole series of different players there, so it will definitely be worth watching. So they play Thursday, they play Monday, 2-game series. First game's in Jamaica, not a bad place to be, and then they play on Monday. I'm not sure where they're playing. Maybe down in Florida, I think, on Monday. So we'll see.
Okay, cool. All right, Free Kicks is brought to you by Green White Soccer Club, and we're going to be actually at the clubhouse watching that game. This week. Yeah. Green White has teams from youngsters who tell me puns, all the way through over 50s who tell me similar puns. But yes, you can go to greenwhitesoccer.org to find a soccer team that works for you. All right. Well, we have people to thank. We need to thank our executive producer, Tony Lasana, with Opie Shows. We have to thank Ed Silla, our distributor on the Radio Misfits Podcast Network. Great talk radio isn't dead. It just moved to a better place, radiomisfits.com. And so next week, we're taking the week off, because there won't be that much to talk about, right? International break. So we'll be back again. Do we have a date? Yeah, it's 2 weeks. We'll be back in 2 weeks with another episode of Free Kicks.
The proceeding was a presentation of the Radio Misfits Podcast Network. Find our other great shows on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, and at RadioMisfits.com. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
This has been a presentation of Opie Productions.
Tony, can you shut up?